today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, make sure you click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate in all the discussion, you can join me most weekdays when I go live on YouTube around 4 p.m. Central Time. Or outside of my YouTube, you can consider joining the Discord I created. There is a link for that in the description below. Also, down in the description below is a link to my Pinterest board. That is a great place for you guys to check out some of the meals and recipes that I've been enjoying. My mic seems messed up. All right, let me see if I can fix it here. Thanks for let me see. Did that fix it at all? Let me know. Let me see where I was. You can participate. You can join the Discord I created. There's a link for that down in the description below, the recipes. Today is day 955 of my challenge to lose 300 pounds. So far, through a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, I have been able to lose over 250 pounds so far. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I love hearing those as well. If you are succeeding with your diet, let us know what you're doing to succeed. If you are struggling with your diet, let us know what are some of the things that might be causing your struggles. We might be able to help you out. And at the end of the day, what are some things that you are doing or that you can do that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Go ahead and switch over to the main screen today. I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. It is Tuesday, June 13th. Like I said, it's day 955. I had a busy evening last night. We've been taking our dog to an obedience training just to kind of further advance her training, I guess, or make sure that, she's a pretty good dog for the most part, but we just want her to be a little bit better. So we have been taking her to obedience training. So I had that yesterday evening. And then I also ended up having a Tennis Neil Girl says sound is clear. Now that's great. Our Tiny Acres is saying that they're having an issue. They're having an issue with their diet, not with their audio. Let me reset here. So Our Tiny Acre says you're having an issue, but you know why. You let yourself slip after a ton of stress. Yes, it can be very difficult when you're dealing with a lot of external stress. It's really easy to help alleviate that stress by going with the easy food choices. You have the stress of life that you're going to have to deal with no matter what you eat. And then when you change your diet or you try eating a different way, your body is going to be stressed when you're doing that change. And so when, it might even be something that happens a little bit subconsciously, but your mind is constantly trying to find ways to reduce your overall stress. And it looks at it, it's like, well, you got this life stress, you got this work stress, you got relationship stress, you got food stress, and we can't fix the work easy. We can't fix the life. We can't fix the family relationship as easy as we can just going and grabbing a candy bar, grabbing junk food. It's easy to do that. So you just got to find a way to push through it. that stress, that the cravings you end up getting, maybe realizing that they're more about just being hungry and satisfying hunger than they are necessarily about, the stress relief or the craving itself. Our Tiny Acre says that 2 cousins younger than you had passed. Oh, that's awful. And then you had an uncle that had a quadruple heart bypass. Then your sister had brain cancer surgery, and you got told her cancer is now stage 4. I am sorry to hear that you're having to deal with all of that. And, and that's something that I have noticed over the years with my dieting, is that I have been able to stick to a plan and be on a regiment for certain amounts of time. Sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's 2 months, sometimes, I've gone maybe as far as 9 months being able to stick to a routine and a diet plan. And the biggest contributing factor for being able to stick to those was that I was able to not let life get in the way of those diets. The focus on the losing the weight was far more important at the time than the other life stress. But then you lose some weight, and that not being your heaviest isn't as big of a deal. So you start to kind of let other things, you let life. My point was that I noticed in the past that all my diets failed because life hit me. And even this diet, life hit me 11 months in. I tore my distal bicep tendon. We traveled. We wanted to do stuff. We became more active, and it made sticking to the diet more difficult. The difference this time than any other time is that I had been able to stick to it or go back to it. It was these slips were moments. They weren't a consistent occurrence after it happened the first time, which was not the case 10 years ago when I lost weight. I slipped, and then that was just the catalyst to the rest of the diet failing. So, but do your best to stay on the diet. And it's gonna be there. It's, the diet's always there for you to take advantage of. The volume eating is always available to do. It's just hard to get yourself, and you say you're trying to get back on track. You always seem to let soda and oil back when you stress. Yes. And it can be, it's that, again, I don't know your exact situation. I don't know every scenario, but going to that soda, you are hoping it relieves stress. You're hoping it brings you some sort of, that dopamine response, that positive response that you're hoping to get from it. And it's almost like it's a guaranteed positive response. Whereas if you try to work out your other stress stuff, no matter how hard you try, you might not get a positive response. You might not be able to fix something even as hard as you try. But when it comes to your food, you can fix that easy by eating junk food. And so it is tough to do that, but you got to, just work towards getting back on track. Make your next meal a big filling meal. I think, again, I've mentioned this in the past too. A lot of times what happens is we have those cheats. We drink that soda, we have that oil, and then we decide we need to punish ourselves. We decide that we need to fast, or we need to not eat any more calories that day because the calories that you already hit the calories you should have eaten for the day. And what I believe you need to do is, after you have that junk food, is you need to turn around and you need to have a huge meal of just potatoes, or a huge meal of rice, or a big fruit meal. Just don't let that junk food sit in your digestive tract, because that's where it's doing the harm, is while it's being digested by your body. So if you eat junk food, follow it up by super low calorie dense foods and high volume of it. Eat a bunch of broccoli, eat a bunch of cabbage, eat potatoes, just get the calorie density back down. Don't worry about the volume. Just worry about getting that calorie density back down for the day. Because if you eat junk food and then you fast afterwards, or you decide not to eat the next meal, then there's no food in your digestive tract to push that through. And if there's no food to push it through, then your body's going to hold on to it. It's going to say, hey, we don't have anything coming. We need to take more nutrients from this last thing that we ate. And if the last thing you ate was junk, then you're going to just be pouring more and more junk into your system. So don't punish yourself when you have a slip by fasting or by skipping a meal or eating lighter the next meal. And do your best with it, because it's a constant thing, and life is going to hit you. I didn't expect to tear my distal bicep tendon in 2021. I didn't expect to tear my other one last year. It's just, it happened. Circumstances came up and they happened. We're dealing with, we have another older dog that we're dealing with his kind of end of life stuff right now. And it's very stressful to deal with that. And it would be easy for me to let that be an excuse. But I realize that I have to compartmentalize those stresses. And I have to realize that the food stress, relieving that food stress, doesn't take away the stress from work and the stress from life. It just makes that little bit of my life a little bit easy, a little bit, I guess, easier, because it's usually eating convenient food. Let's see. Gene says hello, here for a short while. Hopefully you're still here to see me say hello. And then Tennis and Young Girl says that's a lot to unpack, sending prayers. And then Our Tiny Acre says it actually makes more stress because it makes you hurt. You need to make some cabbage soup and take it to hospital and doctor visits with you. You have been a driver for some of them. And it's amazing how much junk food is in the hospitals. Oh yeah. It's all supply demand. They would not have that junk food in the hospitals if it wasn't what everybody was eating or being given or wanting. And so it's hard, because the hospital's there to help people. But when it comes to their food and stuff, that's kind of a revenue generating aspect. If they were to bring in a bunch of heads of lettuce and then they don't sell, it doesn't do them any good. But if they bring in a box of candy bars, that can sit on the shelf for months and months. So if it doesn't sell, they don't, they'll just keep it on the shelf till it does sell. So it's easier for them to make money on the processed foods than it is healthy, natural foods. But yeah, it's, like I say at the beginning of every stream, what are you doing to make staying on your diet easier? Doing things like bringing food with you, having the pocket potatoes or the purse potatoes. It's are just little things you can do to help keep you on track. But yeah, do what you can here. Gene here says it is stressful, to Our Tiny Acres, it is stressful to be there during their ups and downs. It tends to bring you up and down as well. Be prepared and cautious how your food reacts to emotions. Yeah, I'm sure it's very stressful for you, and I'm sorry that you're having to go through that with so many different people. And another side of it too, and I don't know, everything that's going on with all these people, if they have issues with being overweight, or if they have, if they eat well or not. But, the heart bypass, and some of these other things, they might have been able to avoid, or it might help them to eat better. And so seeing you being able to stick to something like that, even in the stress, might give them confidence that they could try something like that. and even if it's not sticking to the diet that you're sticking to, but still sticking to a diet, maybe that's something that they need for themselves. And you kind of act as enablers to each other in some of those scenarios, where it's like, this person's got all this stress going on. So if they want to go have junk food or go out to eat, then we should, support them and go out to eat with them. But then it puts you in a position that hurts you, or it puts you in a position where you don't have a good choice. And then you kind of get into a circle with it maybe. But just do your best with it and know that, every time you make a healthy choice, it's going to add moments to your life. And that has been a big drive for me, is adding me. Gene here says it's very difficult to witness their issues in real time. Lean on your support during those moments. Yes. And, you can always get on the Discord and reach out. I know there's not a ton of activity on there, but if you ever need to reach out outside of the live streams, that would be a great place to try that, to do that. Cindy's checking in saying, hi, everyone. Hi, Cindy. Hope you had a great day, or you're having a great day. Let's see, we're a little into it here, but I have not gone over my food since yesterday. And it's really funny. Our Tiny Acres made a comment about what she should bring to the hospital there, because for dinner last night, we had cabbage soup. And so, this was our dinner last night. It was amazing. It was something I was going to get into our evening, and I got distracted. So last night, took the dog to dog training. After dog training, I had a friend of mine that was that lives out of state. He lives really far away, and he recently had a kid. And so he came back to visit for the past few days, and we've been real busy. And the only time that we were able to really meet up with him was yesterday evening. And so, we met up with him and another couple friends of ours, and we ended up going to a bar, essentially a restaurant bar that, to hang out. And they, because I had dog training, I was going to be arriving late, or I wasn't going to be able to get there when everybody else was arriving. And so I had just sent him a text earlier while we were planning it and just said, hey, we're going to be late. We know we're going to be late. Don't wait to eat. Don't wait for us to show up to eat, is essentially what we said. Because there's nothing on the menu that I would order anyways. So, we ended up going to the bar. We got there, probably 45 minutes, after they had gotten there. They'd kind of hung out for a while, ordered their food, and, we, hung out, and they got their food and they ate their food, and I enjoyed my glass of water, and we just hung out, and it was really nice. But it was cool to be out at a bar, be able to sit comfortably at a table. We didn't have to sit at a booth, which was nice, but we were kind of jammed against the wall with the table. And had I been 520 pounds, it would have been kind of uncomfortable with the amount of space that we had. So, losing that weight made it so I could go to a bar, sit down in a chair, not be, bumped into or in the hallway or anything like that. Our Tiny Acre says it looks like ours has tomatoes. I'll pull it up here in a second. I think it does. Carrie, if she's on here, she'll know the recipe better than I do. So we hung out and had a great time for a couple hours, and I didn't need to eat. They ate dinner. I ended up holding a baby while they ate dinner. So I got, to hang out and really had a great time. And even though my diet is completely different and we went to a restaurant bar that had nothing on the menu that I could eat, I wasn't concerned because I had plenty of food at home. I knew I had the cabbage soup when I got home, and it was just great to hang out. And it wasn't awkward. They didn't give me any hard time about not ordering food. I mean, it had been a while since I seen them. I think I was probably a lot heavier the last time I saw them. So I'm sure they know I'm on a diet. We didn't really get into that too much, but we had Ann Jones checking in saying hello all. Hello, Ann. Hope you're doing great today. So yeah, it was cool to hang out. And so then after we got done hanging out, we headed home, and I had some of our cabbage soup for dinner last night. It does look like there's some tomato in there. There's definitely tomato in there. I think there's some lentils in there, cabbage, carrots, all kinds of fun, wonderful stuff in there. But the thing that I was really happy with was when we left, Carrie had been making this or getting it ready, and it was in the big pot on the stove when we left, and it was real soupy looking, like it was a lot of liquid, and then the cabbage and stuff in there. But just letting it sit in the pot for a couple hours and then coming home and eating it, all of the vegetables had sucked up all of that juice, and it just made it amazing. And so it makes me, again, I talk about it all the time about, I want a bunch of these dinners. I want to have make them the day before, have them sit in the fridge, and then have them for dinner the next night, because they seem to be better as leftovers sometimes, or when they get a chance to marinate in their own juice for a while. Our Tiny Acre says that your garden is starting to produce strawberries. Yes, I've been picking up strawberries at the store occasionally, and they've been amazing. Our kids have been loving the strawberries. So that's great that you got some coming in. Plants Only Muncher checking in. Hi, Plants Only Muncher. Hope you're doing great. And then our Tiny Acre says you had to start making yours without lentils, but you started adding some potatoes into it. I bet that would be good with potato in there as well. Big chunks of potato in there. Yeah, and that's something that I really like about a lot of these recipes, is that they're not like a set in stone kind of thing. Like the white beans and polenta, I used mashed potatoes the other day. So many of these recipes call for salt and oil. We just leave those things out. But yeah, it's easy to swap ingredients or leave something out that you don't like. So that's awesome. Gene says, catch you on the replay bike ride this evening. Well, you have an awesome time out on your bike there, Gene. Hopefully it is a good ride for you. And so, yeah, I really like the kind of creativity that you can have with this. JS, any weight loss compliments at the bar last night? No. So a couple of my friends that were at the bar, they get to listen to me go on and on about weight loss all the time. We talk about it quite a bit, or we hang out, once a month or once every couple weeks. And so they've been following my weight loss progress since the beginning. They thought I was crazy doing the water fast. They actually, before I did the water fast for this challenge, 2 years prior, I had done a water fast, and they were, thought I was crazy when I did that then. So yeah, they're used to my weight loss stuff. So there wasn't much with them. And then the other couple, we were talking about other stuff. It just didn't come up. So it wasn't anything that I was looking for. I was more interested in seeing my friends and hanging out with them for the first time. And I bet it's been over 5 years that I saw them. And the last time I saw them was for a funeral. So, yeah, we were just hanging out, and lot of talking about their new baby. So, and babies in general. Let's see here. Jay says there's a lot of negativity out there as to what we do and eat. Yeah, as far as eating a plant-based diet. Yeah, it's a hard thing to, I think if you're looking for it, there is, but I think that people look at it like it's just another diet. I don't know that there's any more negativity towards a plant-based diet than there is towards a keto diet, or there is towards an Atkins diet or a Mediterranean diet. If you're looking for the negativity, or you can see a lot of it out there. I do feel like there is a big low carb push, but it might be what I'm being exposed to on my social medias, and based off of what I click on or what I'm looking into, it does seem like there is a big low carb push right now. And so yeah, there is some of that, but I haven't had it too much towards me. I've had few comments here and there, but for the most part, people are supportive of me doing what I'm doing. Plants Only Muncher says, you watched the video of me, of my bike ride to the post office. Congrats on being able to do that. Thank you. Yes, that was awesome. You said I live in a beautiful place. And Plants Only Muncher lives in a very busy city with lots of traffic. Yes, I am very happy that I am not in a big city with a ton of traffic. Very much kind of a rural area. There is some busier areas, and I mean, I could ride my bike in the city where there's, taller buildings, but it's nothing like a real big major city. But yeah, I love where I live, it's one of the things Jean mentioned that she rides her bike. I am really involved with a bike ride that we do across the state of Iowa, and it's just awesome seeing the state and the colors that they pop out and things like that. So, but yeah, and I'm going to try to get on and do some more bike rides, and maybe I'll be able to show you more of it. Karen checking in saying, hi, family. Hi, Karen. Thanks for checking in. Carrie's checking in. Carrie, how's it going? I hope everything's going great today. Jay says the Davenport apartment complex, the collapse was terrible. Yes, that happened very close to me. That definitely made some big news. That was pretty crazy with how it's all playing out is really crazy too. Jennifer Diamond here says, today is your 12th week out from your True North fast. The doctors at True North said by week 12, I should know if it worked. It did work. Your neuropathy is just about gone. Fasting heals, eat plants. That's awesome, Jennifer. That is amazing that you've seen that relief from your neuropathy through fasting. Yes, it's so amazing. The power the body has to heal. And, I think a big thing with the True North is the removal of excess that we have, who knows what it was. I mean, I don't know what it was that was causing your neuropathy, but if it was from the excess of your diet, just seeing how easily it can be repaired by removing that excess is awesome. And so 12 weeks out, that's great. I'm glad that you had success there. I would love to go to the True North Clinic sometime and just check it out. I just want to go to their buffet and just see what they're feeding everybody. I don't even have to go there to fast. I just want to go there to eat. See what a buffet of whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free food looks like. That would be, I would probably go to True North and gain weight because of how much food I would end up eating. Let's see here. So I've had this cabbage photo here. I did not take a photo of my oatmeal this morning. I did not take a photo of my broccoli this morning, but I do have a photo of my potatoes and my mixed up potatoes and broccoli with a little bit of table tasty in it there. So did not have a whole lot of food photos since yesterday. Trying to think, I had a couple bananas I didn't take a photo of, but that's about it. So, and so, yeah, that was food since yesterday here. Karen here says that you would love to spend a week eating at True North. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. To check it out. Jennifer says all the food pictures look great. Thank you. Or I think you're talking about my food pictures, right? Yeah, that was food here from the last 24 hours. But yeah, it would be cool to what is Pretty Girl's mom? Aw, John, not whole food plant based. What's not whole food plant based? I'm not sure what you mean. Let's see. Yes, my food pictures. Yes. Yeah, that cabbage was awesome. I was a big fan of the cabbage there last night. Cindy here says we should plan a road trip together to the True North for the buffet. Yeah, do they let people come in and just buy the buffet like you can at Golden Corral? You can just pay the $10 and eat at the buffet. Everybody else is says they're all ready to go. So let's see. Yes, that would be fun to that would be a long road trip. Where is that even at? It's in California. I can't think of where. Santa Rosa. Is that right? Road trip, 29 hours. Holy cow. That is a far way away from me here. Yes, everybody's popping in saying it's in Santa Rosa there. Yeah, 29 hours. That's crazy. It's so crazy. The world we live in too, though, that a place or a facility that is 1,090 miles or 29 hours away from me, had such an influence on my life. And they don't even really know it, or, I don't think they know it. That, them having that clinic, doing that research, writing that book, and getting it out there to the public, had such an impact on me to change my life. So, but hopefully someday I'll get a chance to meet those guys and meet Chef AJ and those people. It would be a lot of fun to do that. So, but that's a long ways down the road, I suppose, because I don't have a time for that. Oh, nobody, Jay. Jay's asking who approved my 40-day fast. My wife approved my 40-day fast, and so as long as she was okay with it, then I was good to go. I didn't just jump into doing a 40-day fast out of nowhere, I guess is what I would have to say. I had been experimenting with doing some, 3-day fasts. I might have done a couple 5-day fasts, but I think it was in 18, it could have been 2019. I did a 30-day water fast where I sucked down, I guess it was a 30-day water fast, but I was drinking apple cider vinegar. I was doing electrolyte powders and all this other stuff, but I had done a 30-day water fast then and lost weight, but I didn't change my diet. And so I did a water fast, lost a bunch of weight, and then within 2 months I gained most of that weight back because I didn't change my diet. Let's see. Jennifer here says you can pay $20 and eat a meal at True North. Okay, there you go. So just travel 29 hours, pay $20 for a meal, and then travel 29 hours back. Sounds like a plan. I might have to make a day of it, and maybe, if I just sit at the buffet all day, can I just pay $20 for a whole day, or like, do they make you leave and come back in? Let's see. Karen here says one of your Tuesday night group ladies lives 5 minutes away from True North. That would be fun. Jennifer says that Karen, your friend, is lucky. Yeah, if you can go, and $20 might be a little bit, you know, you'd have to eat a lot of food to get $20 worth of plant-based stuff, but I'm sure you could figure it out. I could figure it out for sure. But let's see. What was I talking about? Oh, doing my 40-day water fast. Who approved it? No, yeah, I kind of went into it, with the open mind of being willing to end it at any time too. Like I wanted to get through the 30 days because that was my initial goal when I started this challenge, was to do 30 days. And then I read the Pleasure Trap book and I started listening to interviews with Goldhamer and Lisle, and kind of gave me that extra confidence I needed to go a few extra days. And so I ended up pushing it to the just over 40 days. Karen says that Chef Bravo's food is fantastic. Yes, I've seen him cook some different things, or I think we might even have his cookbook, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, it's really great. The time that these people have invested into learning these things. Cause, from what I believe, I don't know that Chef Bravo is, necessarily, he wasn't whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar free before he started there. I don't know if he eats that way, or if he eats plant-based, or what he does, but, I'm pretty sure that he, came into this, and kind of had to learn how to cook that way. And it's awesome to see what they're able to create. Some of the food, some of the food that I've had since starting this, I've been amazed by. One of the ones that I really like, well, that cabbage soup that we had yesterday, I never even would have entertained eating cabbage soup 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And there's a red lentil chili that we have, that was from Chef AJ's Reboot. It's a recipe I really enjoy that I wouldn't have ever given a chance or a try to do that. So it's been really awesome, kind of opening my mind to these new foods and seeing all the creativity that these people have been able to put forth in this kind of realm as far as food goes. Karen says that he was not before he started, but he is now. Okay. He lost 40 pounds when he first started eating that way. That's awesome. Okay. Jennifer says that if I have Chef Bravo's cookbook, that his story is in the beginning of the cookbook. I'll have to check it out. I know I've watched interviews with him and things. There's so many of them, not so many. There's a few chefs that I kind of get confused. Well, I don't know if I get confused, but there's, anyways, that's awesome. I'll have to check that out. I think we have, it's called Bravo, right? I think we have that cookbook. I've seen it. Yeah, that's awesome. Carrie says that we do have his cookbook. That's what I thought. Let's see. We got, I already kind of talked a little bit about rewiring your brain, the topic I put up here, when I was talking earlier about some things, but, it's crazy, like it takes time. Like that's the big thing you have to realize, is that just saying that you're going to do something and then doing it one time doesn't make it a habit. It doesn't make it a success. And that was, Jennifer says he has 2 of them, and Carrie says we have both, and we'll have to revisit them. Yeah, we should, because we bought those kind of early when we first started this challenge. And so, sometimes I'm sure that there's lots of recipes that we've had over the last 950 days that when we ate it, we're like, oh, this is awesome, we should make this again. And then we forgot about it, or it just didn't come up again. And so we don't we haven't had it again. So it would be worth going through and checking out and seeing if there's anything we might want to try. Karen's asking if Jennifer had ever bought Chef AJ's or Chef Bravo's cooking class. Okay. Yeah, he does like an online cooking class, probably, I imagine. Or he might have, yeah, there's a few different chefs that do different kind of things. Jen says, no, but you took a cooking class while you were at True North. That's cool. Talking about rewiring your brain. And I lost my train of thought. My brain is fried. Gosh, what was I talking about? Because I had said something that I was going to expand on, and now I am lost. You have to, the habits. Yes, you have to create habits. You have to, like, we get in our head that we only have to do something once and we understand it, or we don't need to continually practice and deal with it. And I think that we end up giving up too quick because of that. We start to, in our head, realize that it's going to take more effort than we initially thought. And so then we give up. But you have to push through and you have to create habits. And creating a habit only happens by repetition, by continuing to do it day after day after day. And that was when I started this challenge. I chose to do this for 3 years because it was more than 1,000 days. And when I was younger, I had a wrestling coach that would drill it into us that if we had, in order to learn how to do these moves and be better at, wrestling, we had to keep practicing, and we had to practice and practice, and we had to do it 1,000 times until it was in the back of our brainstem. And you have to do that with your diet too. You have to have 1,000 days where you follow those habits, where you succeed, and then it'll become a habit. But until you do it for 1,000 days, you can't say it's a habit. You can say it's a trend. You can say you did it for a while. But until you've done it for 1,000 times, then you can start to say, okay, it's a habit. I understand it. I get it now. I'm a master at that. But we want to be a master at it or understand it after 1 try or 5 tries or 10 tries. And a lot of times that's what I would do with diets. I'd be on diets for 1 day or 5 days or 10 days. But I wouldn't stick to it. I wouldn't give it that 11th try. I wouldn't give it that 200th try. I wouldn't give it the 350th try. And so that is a big part, I feel like, is understanding that you're not going to be good at this diet when you start it. Unless you are coming into this diet with experience with it previously, or maybe you had been eating a vegetarian, mostly plant-based diet, you might understand some of these recipe components, some of these ingredients. But if you were eating the way I was eating, kind of that modern diet, then it is likely that you have no idea how to cook quinoa or what to do with lentils or cannelli beans. Or, how to make a cabbage soup, I didn't know any of these things. The first 2 weeks we did this diet, I felt stupid. And I really, the best thing that we ever did was put that hanging basket of fruit on our pantry door, because then it gave me something to eat. But for the first 2 weeks, the first month, I would open up that pantry and I'd look at it and it would just be like, my mind would be blown. I saw all these ingredients that I had never heard of before. And then I was like, we got to figure out how to eat these things, how to cook these things. And now they become just part of our routine. It becomes easy to make up these recipes and to look in the pantry. And like the other day, I looked in the pantry, I saw we had cannelli beans. I saw we had tomatoes. I knew we had spinach in the fridge and mushrooms in the fridge. So I knew I could make that polenta and white bean recipe. And I didn't have the polenta. or I didn't feel like making the polenta. So I just cooked up some potatoes, and I would never have done that prior, like, especially when I first started the diet, I wouldn't have known how to do it. But prior to starting this diet, if I got hungry, I would have just ordered a pizza. I would have just gone down to the McDonald's down the road or the gas station and got something. I wouldn't have taken the time to learn this new skill. And by learning this new skill, it helps keep me on my diet. If I wouldn't have learned how to cook, then I think that you could succeed without doing much cooking, but you need to learn how to cook some basic things. You need to know how to make up rice. You need to know how to cook up some potatoes, and just some basic things. But you don't have to be a master chef. But as you get going, you'll become more of a master chef. Like when I first started this, my lunches were pineapples and cans of corn, and now those have evolved to this potato broccoli lunch that we have now. But it was easy for me to do that. Let's see here. Pretty Girl's mom says Dylan calls it recipe amnesia when you forget about the recipes. Yeah, absolutely. Like we and we have it every now and then, like when Carrie will make a recipe that we haven't had for a long time, and I'll be like, oh my God, why aren't we doing this all the time? But yeah. And so, and then Jennifer, says here, 1,000 days seems so hard to reach, but taking that 1,000 days, one meal at a time seems reachable. Yeah, it is, and it's about getting through the moment you're in, the day you're in, not, worrying about what you have to deal with tomorrow or what you dealt with yesterday. It's being in the moment, being present. But as you chain those days together, it does become motivating. When I can look back and I can say, I haven't had any processed junk food in, 8 months now, it's amazing. That's so many days where that's chained together, or when I think about I haven't had an ounce or morsel of dairy or, cheese or any of that stuff in 956 days. That's wild that, it's just me not doing it one day. I'm not going to eat meat today. But when I look back and I can say it's been 955 days where I haven't had that, and that's pretty crazy that I'm almost getting to 1,000 days of no meat, no dairy, no eggs. And so that's pretty crazy, but yeah. And it's something too, where if I look at the rest of my life, let's say I get lucky and I get another 40 years out of this life here, it's another 14,000 days, 1,000 out of the 14,000 I have left, that's not too bad. What does that end up being? What is that? 7%. So, so really, if I, spend the rest of my life eating whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar free, that 955 days that I've done so far is less than 7% of my, future existence, I guess. And so for me to succeed, that means that I'm going to have 13,600 more days of eating this way. So, it's not a huge number. It does seem like a huge number, but when you multiply it by the speed of light, and it becomes a small number. Jay here says that Dr. Neil Barnard says his 21-day jumpstart, his book. Yeah, I've seen there's a few different 21-day, 3-week, 22-day different programs to get in. I know that the Dr. Fuhrman has something in his Eat to Live book. I don't know if it's 21 days, but he has a program in his book as well. I think those programs are great for getting started, getting acclimated, and trying to adapt your taste buds. That's another part of the rewiring your brain that I was going to talk about here, is that when you first started eating this way, food does not have the same dopamine. You don't get the same dopamine response from this food as you do from the food you used to eat. And initially, it causes the food to taste plain or taste bland, and it's not very appealing. And so what you have to realize is that your body will adapt to the new foods that you're giving it. So that's why things like Dr. Barnard's 21-day Jumpstart are great platforms for people to kind of jump off from. If you don't know what you're going to do or how to do this, look into one of those programs. They'll have meal plans, they'll have shopping lists or guides to how to do things, recipes, how to cook the foods you don't know how to cook. And they help get you started. It's like a crutch that, you break your foot and you need crutches for 3 weeks. That's what these programs are. They're going to help you for those first 3 weeks. And I'm sure you could probably just double up and just restart that 21-day program and repetitively do it. But eventually you're going to want to branch out. You're going to want to learn how to do this on your own. So that's where that after 21 days of doing it, you've started to build the habit, but the habit hasn't formed in 21 days. It takes longer to get a habit that's going to stick. And you can't really say that it has stuck until you've done it habitually, right? Like if it's easy to come out and say, oh, after 30 days, I created this habit in 30 days, or create a habit in 30 days. There's probably all kinds of videos out there on how to create habits in X number of time or X number of days. But it really, if it's truly a habit, then there is no X number of days that you're going to do it. Like, I'm going to eat whole food plant-based for the next however many days I'm alive. It's not it's not 1,000 days, like it's not 2,000. It's going to be 10,000 days. It's going to be a lot of days that I'm going to be doing this. And if I'm still not doing it 7,000 days from now, was it a habit? Or was it a trend or fad or something like that, I guess. And so it really isn't a habit until you get to the end and say, here, that was, I did that habitually my whole life. And that's my goal, is to do this habitually my whole life. And I was able to do that because I did the water fast and I reset my system. And by doing the water, whether you do a water fast or do anything, but you do have to hit that reset button. You have to completely change how you were eating before, because the way you were eating, for me at least, I had to change the way I was eating before, because the way I was eating before was killing me. And if I would have to sit down and think about it for a while, but there's really nothing that I ate before November 1st, 2020 that I eat now. And I don't know that there's much that I eat now that I ate for 2020, like other than like the base ingredients. Like I ate potatoes prior to 2020, but they were potato chips, and French fries, and, potatoes that had, fully loaded mashed potatoes with bacon and cheese and onions and all that other stuff. And so it's something where that fast was my total reset button, that I, got rid of all that junk food that I used to eat, cleaned out the pantry, put all new, healthy, wonderful, fresh foods in the pantry, and then took that time to go through that taste bud reset. Still, like, you would think that after water fasting for 40 days, that everything would taste amazing. And it did taste wonderful, but it wasn't until I was eating this food for a couple weeks that the taste really started to come out in the foods. And so that was something that you have to get through. You have to do that 21 days because your body adapts. Just like your eyes adapt to different light, your body adapts to different food. If our body adapted to different food as fast as we adapted to light, this would be easy, but it doesn't. It takes days and days for our bodies to adapt to the food that we're eating. And you have to give yourself a chance to get through those days. Karen here says it's easier to not concern yourself with weight loss when this is the way you'll be eating for the rest of your life. Absolutely. Yes, that was one of the most freeing moments that I had. And it was like, it was probably 6 months into this diet that I really felt the permanentness of it, that I realized that it is going to be the rest of my life. And it's going, like, eating this way, I can't continue. It won't, my body couldn't stay at 300 pounds, and when I had this epiphany, I was in the 350s or 400s, I think, but I did really, it did free up that stress a bit. Like, it was like, yeah, I'm going to eat this way forever. And so it's not, maybe it wasn't until later. Maybe it was kind of at the end of the second year that I really started to embrace the concept. But it is that idea that I am eating like the 220-pound version of myself needs to eat. If the food that I'm eating, the volume that I'm eating is, if it's not the 220-pound version of myself, it's far closer to that 220-pound version of myself than I was eating before. And as long as I continue to eat like a 200 or a 220, or I'm sorry, a 220 or a 200-pound version of myself, kind of that range I want to get to, eventually I'm going to get to that range between 200 and 220 pounds. I may have to adjust it a bit as I get closer, but it's going to happen. Like, the weight is going to come off, and it keeps coming off. And I know I say that after having a couple weeks where my weight went up, but I'm not concerned about these last couple weeks as far as that goes, because I did the same thing through the 70s. I am expecting to lose at least 1/10 of a pound tomorrow. And so I'm going to be going the right direction tomorrow. And it's going to get me there, and I did a video about this in the past, where, like, if I sit down and do the math, I could drive and push myself to 240 by the end of October. Easy. You could line up a lot of 260 to 270 pound guys and say, here, we're going to give you 5 months to lose 50 pounds. And they could do that, and I believe that I could make changes, do fasting, pick up an exercise program to push that weight loss quicker. But then I have to add all these components to that to get it done quicker. or I keep doing what I'm doing, be consistently consistent on what I'm doing. And instead of losing the weight after 1,095 days, maybe it's 1,115 days. Maybe it's another 20 days. Maybe it's another 40 days. I'm not worried about those 40 days. Like, because if I start changing things now, if I start going to the gym, and this kind of happened. I tore my distal bicep tendon because I did the triathlon. I didn't tear my distal bicep tendon at the triathlon I did, but I tore it 4 days later. And it was because of the exertion that I put it under while I was doing the triathlon, while I was doing that swim. I truly believe that it contributed to it. And if I decided to pick up and start doing a workout program now and push that extra pound a week or push that extra half pound a week or whatever it's going to end up being by doing that workout program, what happens if I injure myself at the gym? You know, what happens if, you know, if making a change puts me in a position that screws up the overall thing that I've been doing for 955 days, I would hate to do that. And I would much rather stick to what's been working, what is going to work, and what's going to get me there, and deal with being 5 to 10 pounds overweight for an additional 20 days, additional 40 days. Like, oh my, I spent 40 years at just a ridiculous weight. You know, I haven't been 265 pounds since I was 17 years old. That's 25 years ago that I was this light. And if I got to spend an extra 20 days at the lightest weight I've been in 25 years to just make it to my goal, then that's what I got to do. But, you know, and I'm going to hit the goal, you know. And Jay said, yeah, but he wants to get to 220. And I do. I honestly, I want to get to 200, but we're going to get to 220 first, and then we're going to see what happens. But if I get to 220, that would be amazing. And Jay says that weight loss was his big reason for eating this way. It's 100% my reason for eating this way. That's at a certain point, though, the weight loss quits being as big of a motivator because I don't have the terminal diagnosis surrounded with it. You know, at 520 pounds, my sleep apnea could have killed me. I could have had a heart attack. I could have had a stroke, could have had diabetic issues. A host of different things could have happened to me at 520 pounds. And what happens to a lot of people is they start losing weight. And, you know, once I got down to 400 pounds, all of those dangers became less. You know, I was still at danger of dying from sleep apnea, but not like when I was 520 pounds. It was still the danger of having a stroke, but not like I was at 520 pounds. And so that motivator isn't as strong, you know, 'cause for me, that was my motivator, not dying, staying alive, seeing my kids grow up, being there for my wife and my family and my friends was all a bunch of the reason why I wanted to do this. And once I lost a bunch of weight, I was like, oh, I'm not going to die tomorrow. That's cool, you know? And a lot of people use that as an excuse to go back eating the way they were eating or being okay with having that cheat meal because, well, I'm not going to die tomorrow, you know, like I was when I started this. So I can have that snack. I can have that junk food. But for me, it's been a switch. It's health. I want to be the healthiest person alive. And I want to do, or at least the healthiest version of me that can be alive. And that is why I continue to eat this way. If it was to get rid of sleep apnea, I've done that. If it was to get rid of a lot of those risks I had from the diabetes stuff, I've done that, you know? And so, but I haven't reached that point where I'm the healthiest version of myself. That I can continue to push towards. And if the goal is to be the healthiest version of myself until I die, then every day that's going to be healthy choices. And that's what I need to do. Let's see. Karen says you're referring to not having to worry about the counting the calories or eating less food. Yes, that is so relieving. Eating a whole food, plant-based volume diet and just being able to, you know, push in those extra bags of broccoli, you know, just the extra volume and not so worried about the counting calories. You know, it's something to, and I've done videos on it, is our whole world has got us counting calories, and we use a horrible metric for counting calories. And that metric is our mouth. We count our calories based off of what we put on our mouth, but that is not a great indicator of what you absorb. There's so much that goes into what you actually absorb from the food that you eat. I eat lots and lots of calories of food that I know my body doesn't even try to process because I see it in the toilet in the morning. And so that what we put in our mouth and saying that's what our calorie intake for the day was, I think is a horrible metric, because if I drank oil all day, then yeah, that would be a great metric because your body absorbs all the oil. But I'm not eating oil all day. I'm eating fibrous foods, and those fibrous foods take time to process. And if you keep putting in more food after, you don't give your body a chance to process all of it. So you end up having it come out the other end. And so, yeah, not counting calories, not worrying about that stuff is amazing. And I love it. Let's see. Jay says you have intermittent fast and eat less to get to your goal weight. Yeah. You know, I think that there's benefits to intermittent fasting. You know, I think we all kind of do some intermittent fasting naturally. But yes, if you're trying to push your weight loss, you can, you know, create a smaller window, smaller feeding windows, and it will help to push the weight down. You know, the eating less though, I don't know, you know, eating lower calorie dense, I think makes a difference. You know, like eating less of the foods that are high calorie density will help. You know, like I've gotten rid of the avocados and the nut butters and the Ezekiel breads and those things. I don't think I eat less food today than I did, you know, when I was 6 months into this diet. I just eat different food. You know, I eat a lot lower calorie dense volume of food than I did 6 months in. And so that's where the shift for me has been, is in the density of the food that I'm eating. And Jay says that his whole family died from heart disease, and that's a big driver for him doing that. That's awesome. Or that's not awesome that your family died from heart disease, but it is, you know, it's great that you have motivation to stick to the diet, and you are sticking to the diet. And then Karen says that they also do intermittent fasting. You did this for your health because that you were a diabetic who had a stroke. That's awful. Let's see. Matthew here says, you are so inspiring and generous to go public. Thank you, Matt. We are pretty much the same weight. Your attitude is bang on. We're the same weight now, or the same weight when I started? Yeah, you know, I didn't know what this going public would end up doing, or how it would help or not, and it really has helped a lot. And it's really been kind of a slow progress, you know, like it doesn't take a lot of my effort to do this. When I started it, I always had that emergency backout, and I still could. I mean, I could end the stream and delete all the videos, and, you know, I would be a blip in a few people's memory. But yes, it was definitely, you know, an accountability thing why I decided to go public. And then everybody from the very beginning has been amazing. I've had awesome support, and really the community of dieters out there that are following me and it have really made it pleasant to come back. You know, if it wasn't I would not have. Or if I was getting a bunch of grief about it, I would not have. But I'm not telling anybody to do anything either. I'm just sharing my story. That was the two things that I felt like I saw out there in the YouTube world were, the one that's probably the most common as far as what I would watch are these videos of people who share their success. They post a video or a social media post and say, hey, this is me at 520 pounds. Here's me at 220 pounds. And I did it by eating a whole food plant-based diet. And so then you get into it but that doesn't give you any of the day-to-day, like how long did they do a whole food plant-based? Okay, you did it for 2 years. You did it for 3 years. You did it for a year and you lost all that weight. You did it X number of times. Were you 100% on diet all the time? Did you have struggles? What were your struggles? Where did you have these struggles? And when they look back, they have a vision of their diet history, but it's just their memory of it. And it's hard to be 100% truthful, even though you're not trying to hide stuff from people. But if you're doing it post diet and you're trying to influence people, then you're going to make statements and you're going to do things a certain way. And I wanted to show the progress, I guess, was the thing. I wanted to show my progression of doing this. The other thing that I saw people do was they did similar to me, where they started a diet channel when they're at their heaviest. And they create some sort of program or plan to lose all this weight, and they overdo it. And they just kill themselves with, I'm going to eat 1,000 calories, work out twice a day, post a video every day. And they go from this sedentary person like I was, not doing anything. All of a sudden you're going to do hours and hours of work every day that you wouldn't do before. And now you're just going to do them. And they would start these channels. You'd see them, follow them for a few weeks, maybe a few months, and then they just disappear. They quit posting things. They delete their channel. And so I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do both. I wanted to create a channel that I could post my entire process. And so that's why I did the 3 years. And then at the end, if I get to my goal, then I can start saying, hey, this is how I did, this is my before and afters. And then when people say, how did you do it? I say, well, I got 3 years worth of videos that you can go back and watch. And you can take my word for it now, or you can take my word for it when I was on day 100 and when I was on day 500 and when I was on day 750. Let's see. I missed a few comments here. Plants Only Muncher says, you probably had clogged arteries, headed to a heart attack, but now you are unclogging them eating this way. Oh yes. I would, again, it was months into this or even a year into it that I kind of had an epiphany in that I was like, I don't get the chest pain that I used to get. I used to get like pain in my sternum and in my chest. And I would try to convince myself that it was a muscular, like, oh, it's just my pectoral muscle, or, oh, maybe it must just be my ribs. I must have strained my rib. But in reality, it was probably my heart slowly, screwing up. There was, you get onto WebMD and, some of the symptoms that I was displaying, were the same as like, I'm trying to think, like coronary heart disease or something. It was really scary. Like I quit Googling it after but yeah, that was all before I started this. And now that I've been eating this way, it's crazy to think back when the last time I had that kind of chest pain was, that I kind of thought was a normal, oh, I'm just heavy. And it was from getting up off the bed or, just straining myself to get in the car, out of the car, and didn't realize that, it was probably far worse than that. Karen here says that her highest weight was 260 pounds at 5'5", and that is morbidly obese. Before your stroke, you were 242. After your stroke, you were 208. And in 2014, you had to change diabetic drugs and you gained to 232 pounds again. Let's see, you said your stroke happened at night while you slept. You couldn't do TPA to recover. Then they believed they had to do it within 3 hours. Today it's 24 hours and you have little use of your left side. That's rough. I'm not sure what the TPA is. Is that a type of therapy, I guess? Let's see. And Matt here says you had a stroke in March 26th, so just a few months ago. You couldn't move your right arm at all. In an ambulance with 7 minutes. You were in an ambulance within 7 minutes, and a blood clot was removed from your brain within several hours. You were 100% within 24 hours. That's crazy. Yeah, that's wild. And are you doing okay? I mean, it's been a couple months now, but are you recovering okay then from that? And then Karen says TPA is a drug, okay, that you use to recover. I feel like I missed something, but I don't think I did as far as the stroke stuff. But yeah, and that was something I was scared that was going to happen to me. I had a buddy of mine who had been in the hospital for a long time for blood clots, and he, it changed his whole life, just the threat of possibly having blood clots. And it's crazy how much of a difference my diet has made in regard to that stuff. Yeah. And it's been diet. It hasn't been going to the gym. It hasn't been getting cardio in and strengthening my heart. It's been removing the excess. It's been removing the crap that was damaging my body, that has allowed my body to heal itself. And, I may not do cardio, but my heart is far stronger than it was 2 years ago. And it's doing pretty good for me. So, I went really long today. I don't know if anybody has any other questions. Jay here says that your mother's stroke came from drinking alcohol. She was obese and a food addict. And the alcohol dehydrated the body. Yeah, that's rough. I'm sorry to hear that she passed away from that. Or I don't know if she passed. You had said that everybody, I don't know. Sorry to hear that you had to go through that though. Yeah. So change the food, change your life, guys. It will. It's amazing. I never would have believed it. I guess I wanted it to be the truth, but I never saw it actually work out for anybody. I don't know why I even thought to start this channel. Because the way I was eating before, all the diets I had done before, they were all doomed to fail. It was something I almost actually named the stream the other day was that it's not so much that people fail diets. It's that so many of these diets fail us as people because they try to go against our natural instinct to eat a volume of food. I've thought my whole life that there was something wrong with me because I wouldn't stop eating. I would eat a full pizza. And one time in college, I had a college roommate or a friend of a college roommate give me a hard time because I had eaten like 12 Hot Pockets in 24 hours. And that wasn't even everything I ate. That was just one of the things that I ate in that 24-hour period. I still went to the cafeteria and ate lunch and dinner. when, I was at home, I would eat a full pizza, no problem. I would order a full meal from a fast food restaurant. I would get a bonus sandwich and I would get a bonus side, like if they had mozzarella cheese sticks or onion rings or whatever, I'd get fries and the onion rings or the jalapeno poppers, all of these other things. And I always thought it was my fault, that I was the one that was broken, that it was my fault that I couldn't stop eating. And what I realize now is that it wasn't me that had a disorder. It was the food that I was eating that was not ordinary. And so by eating food that is not ordinary, I shouldn't anticipate being ordinary. Like if I want to eat ordinary, if I want to be ordinary, if I want to be a normal BMI, then I need to eat food that people would have had access to throughout history. And that's not the food that we're eating right now. The food that we have in front of us is so high in calories, and it's so just chocked full of salt, oil, and sugar that it is not natural. And it's the food that we are eating that is disordered. It's the diets that these people are trying to push on us that are disordered. If the diet forces you to eat a volume of food less than you desire, then you will not be able to maintain the diet the rest of your life. If you're going to continue to undereat day after day after day, it's going to make your life tougher. Just like if you only sleep for 3 hours a night, it's going to make your life tougher. It may not cause you to die, but it's going to make things worse. It's going to make it tougher. And all these diets cause us to undereat volume. And by doing that, we have to force ourselves to say no to food all of the time. And that is taxing on you. If you can say yes, I'll eat that bag of broccoli. Yes, I'll have that can of corn. Yes, I'll eat that pineapple. It's so much more freeing than saying, no, I can't have any more. I already hit my calories for the day. Like, I always get to say yes. I always get to say, yeah, I'm going to go eat more food. I just change what I eat. I changed the food to eating real food and not this processed crap. And so by eating by focusing on the density, the calorie density of the food, it allows me to satisfy my natural instinct for volume. I never go to bed thinking I wish I could eat more anymore. I don't. I go to bed full. I go to bed satisfied. I never go to bed thinking, God, it sucks I didn't get to eat the second half of the day because I ate crap for breakfast. It doesn't happen with this diet. And I believe that that's a huge part of the success of this way of eating, is that I get to say yes when I'm hungry, as opposed to denying myself. And so I really believe that it is diets that fail us because they don't account for our natural instincts. And so that's something that I think that is extremely important to realize, is that, if you're feeling hungry on this diet, then you need to look at the volume you're eating. If you are feeling hungry and you're gaining weight, then you are likely eating too high calorie density. And you need to add some vegetables for breakfast and some lower calorie dense foods to your diet, fill it up. And I think that the addition in volume, you're also going to see an increase in your elimination. So it's not a 1-to-1. Just because you eat one more calorie doesn't mean you're going to absorb one more calorie. And so it doesn't, yeah. So you don't be scared of it, I guess. Jay here says that you worked for Nutrisystem and ate their free food, was hungry an hour later. Yeah, all of that stuff is horrible. I'm trying to think if I've done, isn't Nutrisystem a diet program? I think I've, yeah. So there's another one too that is Optivia. I've seen some people on my social media talking about the Optivia, where you eat these processed like snacks 5 times a day and then you have one meal for dinner. I think I have seen these Nutrisystems that there's like no food in them. They're like half a pound of food total. It looks so sad. There's like nothing there. Yeah, you know, you can't just live hungry all the time. And so, um, let's see. Karen said that she tried doing Nutrisystem. The last time was 4 months before she went whole food plant-based salt. Oh, whole food plant exclusive salt, oil, sugar free. There you go. I like that. And Karen says the first time you tried it was 1982. I know somebody was born in 1982. Let's see. Jay says that you have a high school friend that starves herself on those Optavia shakes. Yeah, you know, and oh man. Me and Carrie, I'm going so long today. Has she been texting me? Let me see. I haven't gotten a text to say get off stream yet. So we'll see. Yes. The Optavia. I have a hard time with seeing that stuff because it triggers me because of the difference in my lifestyle now. I didn't try that program, but I tried eating that way, you know, eating the less than 1,000 calories a day. And it's so toxic, you know, and it's, oh man. And it's just so like they have a great marketing program, I suppose. You know, because the two hashtags that I've seen with Optavia is something like no diet or no counting, like hashtag no counting, and then hashtag no gym. And they actually recommend not going to the gym because you're eating so low a calorie that if you go to the gym, it's going to screw you up. And so like they don't want you to go to the gym and to be on their program because it's so low calorie, it's so low volume. And they're marketing it to people like it's this weight loss thing. And if you want to lose 10 pounds, if you want to lose 20 pounds, that might be a way to do it. But if you have 300 and plus pounds to lose, if you have 100 plus pounds to lose, those programs are not going to do it for you. Those programs, I mean, and imagine having to be reliant on that program the rest of your life to stay at that weight. Like, how much money are you going to be on? You know, so yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I know some people that push that stuff on social media or that they were. That's the other thing is, again, all of those before and afters that those companies show, a couple things. There's no proof that before and after was because of the actual Optivia shakes, unless they have somebody like me who's been doing daily videos that talks about it all the time. But the other is that those people, there's no guarantee that any of those people are still skinny. You know, I have before and after photos from when I lost weight in 2013 that meant nothing come 2018 because I gained all the weight back. And so those photos you're seeing of people, whether they lost it on that program or they were photoshopped, that's an option as well. They could have been photoshopped, or those people aren't still successful, you know, or they're not doing that program to continue their success. So it really depends. Let's see. Let's see here. Karen says that you were 26 the first time you did Nutrisystem. You had miscarriage after I lost all your weight. Your oldest son was born in 95. And then Jay's asking if you're at your goal weight. Karen says that yes, she is. She hit her goal weight in January of 2020. And Carrie says, no, there's no rush. She's running the kids around solo tonight. So that's cool. And then Jay says, congrats, Karen, for being at your goal weight. January, is it 2020? You hit Q instead of, so it could be 21 or 22. I don't know. Because Q is right underneath both the 1 or the 2. So, but I imagine you just mistyped. But yeah, 2021. There we go. Let's see. What were we talking? Crap about Optavia, you know. Yeah. And just, you know, and I'm maybe there is people that have succeeded with it, but I just don't believe that it has the ability to be sustainable. You know, like it's just, that's the whole goal of this channel was sustainability. It was finding a diet I could stay on and stick to and be consistently consistent on. And I've tried lots of diets in my life and none of them have worked out like a plant-based diet. It's been incredible. And I'm so happy with how it's been going. But I am going to get out of here. I think I broke my record for longest stream ever. I appreciate everybody for checking out my video. If you haven't hit that like button, it'd be great to hit that like button. If you are an hour and a half in and you haven't subscribed to my channel, you're crazy to be this far in and not subscribed. So now hit that subscribe button. And then, if you have not clicked on the bell icon, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. And if you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing coming up that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. There's nobody that reaches their goals, looks back and says, I wish I would have waited. Everybody who reaches their goals looks back and wishes they would have started sooner. So get started now. I wish I would have started months and months and years sooner because I'd already be there. But instead, I still got ways to go. So anyways, get started now, guys. You all have a great day. I will see you tomorrow for Weigh In Wednesday, where I promise you that I will lose at least 1/10 of a pound. I hope. We'll see. So, all right, you guys have a great evening. We'll talk to you later.